Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. This is a place where I like to break down more challenging math and add math topics into a more doable form. In today's class, I plan to cover the topic of statistics, and specifically I want to cover mean, mode and median for ungrouped data. This is something that's really done in Form 4 and sometimes in Form 5 in math, right? So please, I hope that you'll understand the few examples I plan to do. Stay tuned. In statistics, there are really two types of data. There's ungrouped data and grouped data. Ungrouped data means that the values are listed out, like it could be just a paragraph of numbers or so. Grouped data is where the values are not listed out, where it's really nicely formulated in a table with a frequency table and so on. Now I plan to go through both of these, but in this video I'm covering ungrouped data. And I plan to do mean, mode, and median for ungrouped data. Now we can do the same for group data, however the calculations will be different. So let me go through my first few examples. Example 1. It says the following numbers were selected from 12 random people. Find the mean, median, and mode of these values. So these are the numbers here. So this is what I say is ungrouped data, right? The reason why is because the numbers are just listed here. They're not telling us in a table, well, 4 is there 5 times, 8 is there 6 times, and so on. They're not giving us that. If it was given like that, then it would be called group data. So because this is ungrouped data, this is how I would proceed. So to find the mean, what does it mean? The mean is the sum of all the numbers over the number of numbers, right? Now, and that will give us the average number, right? So if we selected these 12 numbers here, then calculating the mean will tell me what's the average value for all of these values. Now, if I were to sum these values, I go 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, etc. I'm just writing it all out so that you'll understand. Divide by, there are 12 numbers in all, right? This will give me about 48 over 12. So my mean, everyone, is 4. So the mean value of these 12 numbers is 4. Now I want to go to median. So median really means middle value. Now, for me to find the middle value, the first thing I need to do is put it in order. So the first thing is put in order. And the second thing is to use this formula, n plus 1 on 2, and that will give me the position of the median. And then I work out to the part, what is the median, right? Now, if this is a little confusing, that's okay. I plan to explain with my example. In step 1 now, which is to put in order, as you can see, these values here are not in order, right? So we need to put it in ascending order from smallest to biggest. So I'll get 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, etc. All of this, right? So let me just double check, 1, 2, 3. So this step is done. Now to work out the position of the median, now I have to use this formula, n plus 1 on 2. n plus 1 over 2, where n is the number of numbers, will be 12 plus 1 on 2, 13 on 2, which will give me 6.5. Now, is the 6.5 value my answer? No. The 6.5 is actually the position of the answer. So I'm looking for the 6.5 position, right? So this is my first position, my second, my third, fourth, etc. So this, guys, is my sixth position, and here, of course, is my seventh. So if I want the 6.5 position, excuse my grammar, then I would need to get the value in between these two, right? Which is actually, these are the pointers for these two values. So it's 4 and 4. So I'll say 4 plus 4 over 2, 8 on 2, 4. So everyone, my median is 4. So I've done this part and this part. Part of this question is to find the mode. Now what is mode, everyone? It's the most frequent. So that simply means I'm going to look through all of my values and see which one is there the most. So it looks to me as if 4 is there. How many times? 3 times. So my mode is 4 for this question. So now I'll move on to a more complex question on the ungrouped data. Example 2. Now this particular question tells us that there are 25 students who wrote an exam and these are their marks, right? So they ask us a few things. State the range of the marks, calculate the mean, determine the median mark, determine the semi-interquartile range. Now this is new, right? What is the probability, and so on. This is new as well. So I plan to go through all of these as well as this one. Right, so my solution for the first one, A, the range. What is the range? Range is simply the highest value minus the lowest value. According to this, my highest value here was 10 because somebody scored 10, right? And the lowest value was 0 because there were, I think, 2 people who scored 0. So the range, guys, is 10. So that takes care of my first piece. That is the range. Now moving on to part B. Now for part B with mean, there are different ways of doing this. I can simply go and add up all these values here in one long line like this and divide it by 25 and get me the mean. However, that is a little complicated and that could actually cause some problems. Like you could make some mistakes doing it because there's so many numbers, sorry. So the better way to do it is to do up a table. So in your table, you will have to have a few columns. So because we're dealing with marks, one column would actually be marks and the other column would be frequency. So frequency simply means the amount of times a value is there, right? So let's go. What is my first mark? My first mark was 0. So I need to put in 0 here, and I need to say count how many times 0 was there. Now according to this, 0 was there 2 times. So I put frequency is 2. So now next row, would be 1, the mark 1, and count how many times 1 was there. Once. The mark 2 was there 2 times, the mark 3 was there 3 times, the mark 4 was there 3, and you go simply keep going like this, and you're counting, right? So I'm going to take what I'm taking is my long list of values above here, and I'm simply counting the number of times each value was there, right? Sorry. So after doing this now, I would have converted this table looking like this into this nice table with these 2 columns here, right? All the marks from 0 to 10 here, all the values of the number of times each value occurred, and this sum here should be 25. You should always double check yourself before you move on. Now I need to tack on another column in order for me to find mean. This first column I could call this X, and this column I could call this F. So I'm adding on a column called Fx, which is simply taking the value from here, 0, and multiplying by 2. So 0 by 2 would be 0. The next row, I'll get 1 by 1, 1, 2 by 2, 4, etc. And you just keep following this format for the rest of values. So now I need, from here now, I need to sum this whole additional column, right? So this is my third column here. I want to now create a value. We'll go at the end here, and I want to sum this column here, right? So everyone, the sum of this column here would actually be 127. So now is that my mean? No. So my mean now will actually be, I come across here, would be the sum, well, I could put the summation sign, of the fx column over the sum of the f column, which is actually 127 over 25. Because the f column here, the summation of f here will actually be 25, right? And that tells me that my mean is then 5.08. So that, guys, is the mean mark for this particular question. Hope you understand. Now, let me move on to the median. Again, for median now, we need to find the middle value. Now, for me to find the middle value, I have 25 values. I could write them all in order, right? Like what I did in example 1, put all 25 values in ascending order, and then find n plus 1 on 2, right? And get that position, and that is my median. However, because I have a nice table up like this, with these 3 columns here, I could actually use this. Well, actually not the third column. The third column is only used for mean. So what I plan to do with these 2 columns with mark and frequency, I plan to add on 2 more columns here and work out the median. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. So my first column that I've added on is called the interval column, and the second column is called the cumulative frequency column. The interval column is the easier of the 2, right? So it's simply going to take the value from here, which is 0, and I'm going to put it back here, but I'm going to put less than or equal to. So I'm going to repeat this for all. So I'm going to put less than or equal to 1, and so on, straight down to less than or equal to 10. This column here. Now the cumulative frequency column now is actually the sum of this second column here, right? So the first value would be 2, right? Because that's the first value here, 2. And the next value would be actually 2 plus 1. Now, you don't need to write all of this. I'm just going through this because I'm teaching. The next row now will actually be 3 plus 2, because it's this value from up here, this 3 here, added on to the frequency for this value here, right? So that'll be 5, and so on. This one would now be 5 plus 3. Hope you're following, right? So all I'm saying, guys, is that I'm taking the value from here, adding it to here, 2 plus 1, and that's how I get in the 3. I'm taking this value 3 here, then adding it to the 2, then I get in the 5, taking the 5, adding it to the 3, then I get in the 8, and so on, right? So I plan to continue this column and finish this one. The end here is that I will get my ending value here to be 25, because 25 is the total number that was here, total number of values that we're dealing with, right? So now with this now, I could do my n plus 1 on 2. So n plus 1 on 2 for median, so if you call it Q2, n plus 1 on 2, which is actually 25 plus 1 on 2, 26 on 2, which is the 13th position. So everyone, I want to find out where is the 13th value. Now, I don't know if you understand, but this row here that says 2, cumulative frequency, it is telling me that my first 2 values is in this row here. So the mark of 0 really considers the first 2 values. Now, this one here that says 3, it says my next, sorry, not my next, but my first 3 values are now in this row here. So that will be any value that is less than or equal to 1. So that's 1 or 0. Now, 5 now means there are 5 values up to this line. So that means that it is less than or equal to 2. So that would mean 0, 1, or 2. So now, continuing, just going on here, 16 here would mean these are the first 16 values. So that means it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6, less than or equal to 6. So now, guys, if I need to find the 13th value, I need to find the line that has the 13th value. Now, I know this line here, ironically, does have the 13th value, but this is not the first line to have the 13th value. And the reason why I go to 13 is because that's what I got from my formula. So my 13th value is actually here in this line, where there's up to 14 values. So that means it's less than or equal to 5. So going back here now, that means that my median, everyone, is 5. For example, I had gotten, instead of 13 here, say I got 14.5, then 14 is here, and the 0.5 of that position is actually in this line here. So I would actually have to find the average of these 2 values, right? So then my median would have been 5.5, right? So I just wanted to consider that in case it went like that, right? Now I want to move on to part D, which is the semi-interquartile range. Now for me to teach semi-interquartile range, I need to explain a few things. Now we know already, what do we know? Median, which is Q2, is n plus 1 on 2. Now I need to show you what is Q1 and Q3. Now Q1 is actually n plus 1 over 4, and Q3 is actually 3/4 of n plus 1, right? So this is the formula for this, and this is the formula for this one. Now the interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1, and the semi-interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1 over 2. Now I know it sounds a little confusing, but please, let me take it apart in steps, right? So we covered this, right? Our answer for this was 5. So Q2 was 5. So now let's move on to what is Q3 and Q1. Looking at Q3 now, Q3 is actually 3/4 of n plus 1, which is actually 3/4 of 25 plus 1, which turns out to be 19.5. Now, is that my Q3 value? No, that is the pointer. That is the pointer for the Q3 value. So I'm going to find out where is the 19.5 position. So again, looking at this last column here called cumulative frequency, where is 19.5? Wouldn't that be in this line here? Because this line has up to 18, but this line has up to 22 values. So the 19.5 value would actually be on this row, which means that my Q3 is actually 8. Nice. So now moving to Q1. So substituting the values here, I'll get Q1 to be 3, and hence 5.